once again, adventurers, to Let's Play ChäoS here. In the last people, the three men in control of the Nozomi Corporation are in fact plotting against none other than the Committee of 300 themselves, which is a very telling feat, if I do say so myself. Of course, there are penalties to be had if they actually get discovered, but given the fact that they're behind the recent events in Shibuya, that remains to be seen. However, meanwhile, Takumi came here to rest in the park following the events over at Suwa Academy, and the miraculous flowerbed that saved the life of Ayase Kishimoto, aka Fez. Of course, would stand to reason that somebody else would be aware of what happened, and that person, of course, is Sena, who is currently interrogating Takumi, and could have the option of going either down the positive or negative routes. We went through negative last time when Takumi was panicking over Shogun, but I don't think now is the time for delusions. I think we have to focus on reality, because we can't afford to ignore Sena. Indeed. Sena was the one who used violence against me out of the blue. She grabbed the front of my shirt and pulled me up with incredible force. I couldn't breathe. I waved my arms around in vain, but she showed no indication of letting me go. On top of that, her eyes were brimming with a sharp light that might be interpreted as the desire to kill. I went cold, thinking she'd murder me, and frantically shook my head. Unfortunately, I doubt she'd be fooled that easily. Sena's fierce breathing brushed my cheek. Yeah, there's no point hiding. With such rage that it appeared she would bite me at any moment. How is this girl so violent and so scary? Questions for later. Save me. Somebody save me. Church of God's Natural Born Light. Don't really know what to tell you there, Sena. Especially since I can't read the tip screen. But in other words, that is pretty much the first time that Takumi has ever heard that name. Natural born what? Surprisingly, no one. Unusually, her voice had grown strained, but I had no idea what was going on, and all I could do for the time being was keep shaking my head over and over. So to answer your questions, yes to the first, no to the second. I believe that's about how it sums up. Indeed it is, and yet against all odds it happened. You would be surprised as to the answer of that question. No one told me a single thing about this power. But if I had to put it one way or the other... Managing to get a single word out. Sena seems somewhat disappointed. I can't breathe. I'm suffocating. I feel faint. I'm gonna die. It's no good. Might literally asphyxiate if you keep your hands around his throat. There, Sena. Think he actually blacked out. Or nearly did. Just as I seemed about to lose consciousness, Sena let me go without warning. I collapsed in place. As I hacked away, I desperately sucked in air. Well, at least we're still alive. What the hell? Was Sena my enemy as I'd originally thought? Did she too work for Shogun? If so, I had to escape. Doubt she'd let us go that easily.
本当に天聖信仰会とは関係ないんだな。
What was the Church of God's Natural Born Light? I'd never heard anything like it. Seeing my bewildered face, Sena finally stopped glaring. She clicked her tongue lightly and let out a sigh.
悪かった。関係ないならいい。
Good to know. Muttering in a disinterested way that really didn't make it sound as if she were apologizing, Sena began to leave. Rude. Very rude. It would seem she didn't intend to hurt me. Then... I have no choice but to ask. I screwed up my courage and called to her. I thought she'd ignore me, but Sena stopped and turned back to face me. Her expression was still severe, but apparently she meant to listen to me this time.
力って何なの?
Sena knew something. She'd referred to the flowerbed, saying you created it, didn't you? Everyone on the spot aside from me had acknowledged the flowerbed as something that had been there from the start, but Sena was different.
さっきの花壇どうなって？
お前が妄想したんだろ。
Imagined it. I had, but...
妄想は現実にすることが可能だ。本当じゃないものが景色に紛れ込む。つまり、エラーを現実として認識させる。
でも。
Yeah, there is a very fine line between seeing errors and actually interacting with them.
視界に映すだけじゃ、それって幻でしかないよ。
Illusions were no more than illusions, and they were false. Kind of like a 2D screen. If that flowerbed were an illusion, Ayase wouldn't have lived. Ayase had been saved because the flowerbed there wasn't an illusion, but rather the real thing.
世界の仕組みは3つの数字で全て説明できる。0と1、そしてマイナス1。
It's a very binary way of looking at things.
ディソードはそのマイナス1を生み出すためのショートカットになる。
Also, quite the opposite of Ayase there, if I do say so myself.
だがお前はディソードなしでそれをやった。
She'd started saying things that went straight over my head again. No, but what Sena told me wasn't merely a flight of fancy. At least the patent for VR technology that had turned out to be fact. Sena really did know something.
いいか、これ以上エラーを作るな。それがお前のためだ。
It's a very dire warning there, Sena.
それと、他にもエラーを見たら教えろ。
She one-sidedly threw words at me that could be taken as a kind of threat, and she turned her back on me. Doubt she's going to be interested in being questioned further.
目に見えるものだけを信じられることがどんなに幸せか。
Sena spat out that parting mutter, and this time she left for good. And it's the General Hospital. The floor of AH General Hospital, where the psychiatric examining rooms could be found, was steeped in silence. Could this be our card as well? I think so. It was said that the surgical department and the emergency room had been quite in a state since the earthquake, as injured people who'd lost consciousness due to seemingly baseless symptoms were carried in one after the other. But the psychiatric ward had nothing to do with that, and if anything, the patients visiting for diagnoses finished earlier than usual. In a few days, perhaps potential PTSD patients would come pouring in, but for today, at least, the psychiatric department had run out of scheduled appointments, and no doubt they're probably still reeling over the loss of Fumio Takashina. The nurse, Shino Hazuki, realized she had been working here since the previous day's night shift with hardly a break. She was hungry as well. The psychiatric wards had lost one of its doctors the other day. He had been ruthlessly killed in a New-Gen incident, and no substitute had arrived yet, so they were constantly understaffed. But all that remained for today's work were minor miscellaneous tasks, and if she could pass them on to the nurse responsible for the next night shift, she could finally take some time off. Up until the next incident, that is. Patting her cheeks with both hands, as though telling herself to keep it up for just a little longer, she was about to swiftly cut through the empty lobby. She sensed a gaze coming from behind her, a prickling sensation at the back of her neck. Goose flesh rose on her arms with a shiver. She automatically turned around, but all that continued beyond there was the silent corridor. No one was there.
看護師さん。
Hazuki jerked at the voice that came flying toward her from a completely different direction. One man stood alone in the lobby she convinced herself was empty, and he called out to Hazuki when he spotted her. He was a young man with some childishness remaining in his determined face. His complexion was ruddy, and he didn't appear to be ill. Suwa, but what exactly is he doing here at the General Hospital? And where was he during the earthquake?
あなたは
ちょっと時間もらっていいっすか。
はあ。
どうもっす。
Must be following that lead of his. He smiled bashfully, then abruptly grabbed Hazuki's arm and began walking from the lobby toward the stairs. Upon seeing Hazuki's confusion, the man, Mamoru Suwa, that's his first name, Mamoru, I'd actually forgotten that up until now, pulled a black ID book out of his breast pocket and held it up a little demurely. It was a police badge. Suwa stopped at a stairway landing and looked around with the appearance of one being doubly careful.
それでお話って。
Hazuki, who still had work left to do, looked a bit restless. Preparing to understand this, Suwa took a single photograph from his pocket without any preamble.
この少年に見覚えないっすか？
Pictured there was Takumi Nishijo's listless-looking face. Hazuki, who had confidence in her ability to remember faces as part of her work, had already nodded unthinkingly. So he's still pursuing that end of the investigation. In other words, while Bang is busy researching the gravitational error rates, Suwa is focusing all his attention on Takumi.
西条拓海。間違いないっすか？
ええでも
Hazuki's hesitation was only natural. Even if the person we're asking were a police officer, there couldn't be anything good about leaking a patient's information. Confidentiality, after all. But Suwa had been well aware of this when he began speaking to Hazuki. He put on an earnest gaze as he revised his previously light attitude, and lowering his voice, he plunged on ahead.
頼みがあるんすけど、西条拓海のカルテこっそり見せてもらえないっすか？
そんなの無理です。できません。
That is a breach of confidentiality there.
とある事件に関わる重要なことなんすよ。
At her wit's end, Hazuki tried to leave the spot immediately, but Suwa circled around and blocked her path.
困ります。
Definitely if the hospital directors ever found out about it.
迷惑はかけないっす。だから頼ませよ。
Suwa fell to his knees then and there and began prostrating himself.
やめてください。本当に無理なんです。
これ以上犠牲者を出さないためにも。
What on earth could she do to make him give up? Unable to think of a suitable way to refuse him, Hazuki could only keep going in circles. Understandable. But Suwa is insistent on acquiring Takumi's file. I was a little dazed after parting with Sena, but I soon returned to myself and dashed back here. Happily I didn't encounter either Shogun or Yua. In the end I'd gone home without meeting Rimi. Where is she exactly? Because of the commotion over Ayase and the midday earthquake, school must have cancelled classes early and sent the other students home. Well, it's the responsible thing to do, at least. If I waited a little longer, maybe Rimi would come visit me. Until then, I probably had no choice but to endure the fear on my own. For the time being. To continue averting my eyes from my anxiety, I decided to use my recovered PC to gather information. The little light on my cell phone, which I'd left next to the monitor, was blinking. Oh no, we're not falling for that again. When I opened it, I had a new email. I thought maybe Rimi had contacted me, but... Oh, it's Nanami. So she kind of enjoyed being part of a peanut gallery. Congrats to her. I didn't send a reply, of course. I had to go at looking up Ayase online. As before, I couldn't connect to Phantasm's official homepage. Maybe they really have taken it down, given the situation. No online newspapers had reported on her. That is curious. Unless they've managed to... Well, there wasn't anyone actually who appeared to be a journalist or a reporter there. They must have their hands full with the earthquake that rocked Shibuya, and they probably couldn't be bothered with the failed suicide attempt of some indie band's vocalist. At the moment, I didn't have any way to find out whether or not Ayase was alright. Much more information had been determined with respect to the earthquake since the last time I checked. The number of deaths had risen to 18, and there were currently over 300 injured. To think that the fatalities would exceed 3 digits, well, it's not quite 200, as many of the papers were reporting. The epicenter was in Shibuya, and surprisingly the casualties were almost wholly restricted to the Shibuya region. The earthquake had been magnitude 5. There were also articles stating that most of the magnetic devices throughout Shibuya had been damaged. When I considered the fact that there were many other people out there who had suffered through tragedies like mine, frustration surged up in me yet again. Looks like the gravitational errors must have been quite powerful. It was a tragedy indeed. My Princess Moe art collection and my Roger save data would never come back to me for all eternity. In any case, I couldn't think of it as having been an ordinary earthquake. It was just utterly abnormal for there to be 118 deaths. That abnormality, of course, had become a hot topic on the net. There's that channel, hard at work. Damn it, how carefree of them. I thought back over the moment of the earthquake. At the time, an astounding impact had struck me. A sensation I'd never tasted before in my life, as though my head were boiling, as though it were exploding. Having to take something like that, it wouldn't be odd if you died from shock. I think many people did. I watched the news on TV as well as looking online. My PC has a TV tuner attached to it. That's why I don't need a TV in my room.
現在までに死者118名、重軽傷者300名以上と非常に多くの犠牲者が出ていることが分かっています。
Yeah, I think more people died from that unknown psychological shock than the actual earthquake itself.
さて、渋谷の駅前と中継がつながったようです。
It seems like they have somebody on the ground there.
島谷さん、現地の様子はいかがですか
？2005年に同じように震度5の地震が東京であったんですよ。その時はゼロで、なぜ今回は100名以上の被害者が出ているんですか？
This isn't a normal earthquake.
被害者の数は震度に比例するわけじゃないんです。そこには様々な要因がありまして。
Of course, some people might have been killed by falling debris as well. That is to be expected.
亡くなった方の死因や病院に運ばれた負傷者の容体については、未だ詳しい情報が入っておりません。また、渋谷区を中心に磁気メディアが全壊してしまっていることについて、今日は専門家にお越しいただいております。
Seems like they too are aware of what happened to the magnetic devices in Shibuya.
地質学産業研究所より林原泰造先生、財団法人地質調査環境センターより小沢幹人先生にお越しいただきました。
林原さん、今回の地震について磁気メディアに深刻な被害が出た原因というのはどういうところにあるんでしょうか？
まず知っておいていただきたいのは、渋谷区あたりの地下200メートル付近には磁鉄鉱、つまり天然の磁石が多く埋蔵されている地層があるということですね。
Go on.
地層の分類としては火成岩層ですが、私たちはこのエリアを 磁鉄鉱の谷、地中にある磁石の谷ですね。文字通り、かなり大規模な岩脈なんですよ。
So I accidentally impossibly clicked there, skipping the last part of that sentence.
ここにですね、今回の地震のような大きな刺激が加わったとするならば、その影響で地上に存在する磁生体、主に磁気メディアの持つ記録部に、致命的なダメージを与えてもおかしくはないんです。
Nothing strange, you say, and yet there are only a few pockets of areas where gravitational errors actually occur.
何をバカな。
小沢先生は別の意見ですか？
確かに渋谷の地下には巨大なマグネタイトの岩脈があることは事実です。ですが、磁石と呼ぶにはあまりにも微弱なこのマグネタイト群にはですね、地上の磁気モーメントや安定磁場を崩すほどの力はないというのが通説になっています。実際ですね、過去にも震度5の地震は何度も発生しています。過去のそれらの地震では今回のような被害はなかった。なので、原因は別にあるのではないかと考えるのが妥当だと思います。
I think the second theory is closer to the heart of the matter.
そうは言うがね、今回の異常な犠牲者数については、ただの地震では片付けられない何かがあるのが事実なわけであり。
I think that's exactly what the second man was actually referring to.
渋谷にいた人のほとんどが頭痛がしたって訴えていることからも、間違いなく磁鉄鉱が関係している可能性が。
磁場ごときで100人も殺せると主張するおつもりですか？
Something did. Something very similar to a magnetic field.
それではここで CM です。
I think the television hosts are getting a bit flustered.
結局詳しいことは何もわからずか。
No, they do not. They completely disregarded how, right after the earthquake, a vast white cloud had risen over Shibuya, as well as the fact that the sky had turned white, despite the fact that pretty much everyone had, well, save Takumi, had witnessed that particular phenomena. Though at first everyone had made sure to report about it. It creeped me out the way they acted as if it hadn't happened in the first place. And we're back at the hospital again, but I'm going to call this an episode for the time being, and when we return adventurers, we shall see what else has been going on at Arcart General Hospital. As always, adventurers, until next we meet.